Hi, I'm Greg Schaefer, and welcome to the Virtual CISO Moment. This is actually a short mini episode. I'm currently in a hotel room on a business trip and getting ready for the day. As I usually do, I have the news on, and they were discussing the potential of cyber attacks increase from Russia. Of course, this being March 9th, 2022, the Ukraine-Russia crisis is in full blown right now. And I got this sudden feeling of sadness. Now, not because what was being said on the news program was wrong. In fact, it was completely correct. Um, I, Basic things that businesses, including small and mid-sized businesses, should be doing, such as don't use the same password for critical systems, um, and so on and so forth. Things that we've preached about forever, and that was the focus of my sadness. That there wasn't really anything major as far as additional new things that a business should be doing in order to counter this potential increase of cyber attacks from Russia or related to the conflict. Um, just the same stuff, just make sure you're doing it. I've often used an analogy between information security health and physical health on this podcast. And I think it comes into play here, and this is the reason for my sadness. And I'm going to use COVID as an example. Um, don't quote me on the numbers, but I believe that roughly that of the majority of folks that passed from COVID, I think it's like around 96% or something like that, had roughly three or more comorbidities. In other words, their health was already in such a place that it was vulnerable to more vulnerable to COVID than those that didn't have those comorbidities. And I'm a firm believer that in a lot of ways we're currently in a situation, particularly in the United States, of an epidemic of the unhealthy. We've just adopted such poor health habits on many angles. There's the not exercising enough, not doing the right exercise. We have this tendency to, at the beginning of the year, I want to fix it. I'm going to do my resolution. I'm going to go ahead and start working out real fast and then burn out. Exercising is a lifestyle. It's just the same as brushing your teeth and having your first cup of coffee in the morning. It's just something that you should be doing on a daily basis to keep your system up as best as possible. And then there's eating. We consume so much garbage in this country. We eat processed foods that really are more inflammatory and produce basically not the best healthy situation with our bodies. And there's a lot of reasons for that we can address, but it's not something that you can suddenly say, and this is what the analogy is. It's not suddenly that somewhere that you can suddenly say it's just like, okay, there's a virus out there right now. Let's all get healthy and deflect the virus. It takes time, and I'm hoping that maybe with COVID, that more people will become aware that they need to focus more on their health, so that when the next COVID or something similar happens, flu outbreak or whatever the next thing's going to be, that your body's better prepared for it. That gets back to information security. You can't just suddenly, when there's a new threat out there, like increased Russian cyber attacks, say, okay, let's do this, and then suddenly we're going to be more secure, because there's going to be gaps there if you haven't been doing it periodically. It's muscle memory to some extent. So passwords, the complex passwords, multi-factor authentication, don't reuse passwords, password vault, all those things, great, should be doing it all the time. Monitoring, great, should be doing it all the time. You can't just sort of like spin up and do this like very fast risk, stress. Okay, fight or flight. I'm going to fight right now. I'm going to increase my cyber posture, and as soon as the threat goes away, just kind of take a breather back. It needs to be a habit every day, every little thing. There used to be a campaign, I think it's still out there, Stop, Think, Connect, or Think Before You Click, those nice little sayings they have out there. Those worked because they were trying to impact upon the audience the idea of muscle memory. Just keep on practicing. That's why we run phishing exercises, for example. It's muscle memory or business continuity tabletops. I've talked about that before too. It's not that it does anything in the moment, but it does a lot in the moment. It increases your information security health. I wish there was sort of a way to measure health of information security along the same metrics that we measure our body. There are some metrics, but there's not anything that I'm aware of that's like definely easily to quantify. Like you can measure your blood pressure, which is an indirect measurement of your health. It's indirect in that it's measuring something in your body that could lead to an issue. So it's like it's not directly measuring, say, hardening of the arteries. But I'm kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone there. Blood pressure, monitoring that is fine, but you need to do it on a constant basis. You can't suddenly like say, hey, oh, I measured my blood pressure. I'm 170 over 110. I need to eat healthy and take some medication, and I'll get this fixed in a week. It took a little while to get there. It's going to take a little while to get back. So that's pretty much the end of my random thought here. It's that I hope that coming out of this crisis, that small and mid-sized business, all businesses, but of course I focus here on small and mid-sized businesses, that they have a better mindset that, remember, you have to practice information security hygiene on a constant basis. It isn't a turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. It has to be done all the time. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear your reaction, your thoughts on it. Until then, stay secure.